What's up guys, Richard here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first devlog in a very long series of devlogs to come. Now, if you've been watching my channel over the last month or so, you would know that I started with kind of game jams, moved into Flax tutorials, and the whole time I was doing all that, I kept repeating the fact that I'm going to be working on a massive project and that I'll be presenting it soon. Well, I am finally going to get to present it, at least I guess the seeds of the idea that's to come. Now, the name of this game is Magic Language Game. This is just a temporary working name. If you come up with a cool name for this game, just drop it in the comments below at the end of this video, obviously, so you have an idea of what the game's about. And then you never know, we might decide, hey, that's a really cool name, and we'll go with it. Now, this is not just me working on this project. In fact, I'm working with a designer whose name's John, as you can see. He will be doing system, narrative, game design basically in general. And then I will be assisting him basically as co-designer. I'll be handling all the language-based stuff, but I'll also be helping out with systems, and basically we'll just bounce ideas between each other. And then, of course, I'm going to be doing all the programming. Now, we also have a 3D artist who will be doing, obviously, the 3D, 2D, UI, marketing, pretty much anything that's graphical, he's going to be doing. I may help him out every now and then with certain little things because I have been learning 3D, but he's going to be the main one for that. What is the idea? Now, before I can really get into the idea, I have to kind of tell you where we're coming from. So we've written this mission statement. So we are dedicated to creating entertaining language learning experiences through gamification of comprehensible input. First up, if you don't come from a language learning or instruction background, you're probably wondering what comprehensible input is. The idea is that the best way to learn language is actually to interact with the language in some way. Like if you learn the word table, you shouldn't just learn it from a book. You should have a table in front of you. You should be able to touch it, feel it, pick it up, and then you learn the word for table in context with the table. Then you learn things that you do with the table, like the verbs or the actions, in context with the table. So you're learning everything in context. It makes sense. It's understandable. You comprehend. So it's comprehensible input. So this is basically our idea, is we're going to make a game that takes this overarching teaching idea of comprehensible input and shoves that into the gameplay component. And basically our overall vision, I guess, is just to make language learning fun in general, so that it's not something like Duolingo where you sit there with an app and you just repeat phrases backwards and forwards and there's no like real use for the language at that moment. It's just something that you're kind of route learning, like you're just pushing into your brain. So we have a concept for the game. Now I'm going to read through the concept, then I'll give you a little bit more information. So the idea is you become a magician and you advance your understanding of an ancient language that allows people of these new worlds to use magic. You grow your abilities and comprehension to advance through these worlds and find out why you were really called here. So the idea is that you are this character in this world who needs to learn this magical language. Now, the magical language is not something that's made up. In fact, when you start playing the game, you will select the language, say Esperanto, French, German, maybe Spanish. We haven't chosen like all the starter languages, but you will select the language that you want to be the magical language in your game, so that when you're playing this game and you start using this language and learning it, it's not just something that's pointless, like you're actually getting some educational value out of it, but at the same time it's fun. Now, you're probably curious about how you will learn and use this language. Well, in this game, it's going to be like an isometric view. You're going to be running around as your little magician. You'll pick up spells, you'll learn spells along the way, and these are basically the words in your language with the basic grammar. And you will start to put these things together and use them to actually achieve things within the game, like to take on enemies or to open doors or to push things out of the way. Obviously, the idea is not that you're going to learn an entire language. That's completely impossible. But you will learn like some fundamentals for that particular language. Like you'll come at this and you'll be like, okay, I know the basics of the language. I can take this further for a proper course or through other study materials. But at least at the beginning, you can have some fun. And maybe if we get really big one day, we can blow this out into a lot bigger experience. Now, obviously, we've got some core pillars based around this idea. These are things that we have to incorporate within the game to achieve our mission. So we want to teach the basics of a language through interactive gameplay. So you actually have to use the language to advance through the game. We want to create obviously challenging but rewarding experiences. So you actually have to think a little bit about how would I put these two words to achieve this objective of moving this or to destroy this enemy. And then we want to encourage some creative use of the language. So we will teach you several ways to put things together, but then we're going to expect you, the player, to go, okay, well, if I can put open with door, maybe I can put open with box. And like, we maybe not teach you that. This is just an example. And then you will try that out. And if it works, then you've just found something new that you weren't taught. So we're not going to teach everything, but we're going to teach you how to use these things. So that's the core pillars. Now, we have an artistic style going for this. Our artist has already kind of narrowed in on the style. He likes the idea of Darksburg, if you've played that game. If not, just go to YouTube and YouTube it. So for the character design, we're going to basically have very distinctive and unique shapes that represent different characters, particularly different bosses and stuff. Maybe like a triangle shaped or a circle shaped. And we're going to incorporate these shapes into the characters themselves to kind of make them very memorable, so you can just see them and go, okay, I know what I'm looking at now. We've already started to work a little bit on UI concepts. To give you an idea, we've spent already 3 days in the last week starting to work on a prototype, putting the ideas for systems in place and things like that. But that's pretty much it. We've done 3 days worth of work, and then each week we're going to have like a solid 3 days worth of work, and then we're going to have like additional days where we kind of do some work here and there, and we kind of reflect on what we've done, and we have our little internal meetings and all that other stuff. So we're looking at a good solid 3 days of work each week. So the UI concepts, for example, the health bar, we were playing with an idea that you'd see your character and the health bar would be either in front or behind, or even like the outline would represent the health bar of the enemy. And you can see kind of here, we've got the sketch of the little wizard, and basically you can see the word fire above him, which just represents fire. And in fact, my artist has misspelt the word fire in Esperanto, which is quite funny, but he will learn. Anyway, so you would, when you type out, because this is how combat would work, you would engage in combat with someone, and when you're engaged in combat, then you got to type out your spells. Like, there's not like just you select on spells, but if you forget a word or an action or something, you have your own little magic book dictionary, which if you look on the right side of the screen there, you can see it kind of like drop down, and then you can like go left and right through the pages. And then you basically have this real-time battle, but with like a one-on-one opponent. You can't move away from the battle, you have to engage with them, and then if you win, obviously you can walk away, but if you die, then you die. But it would be like a typing battle. So you'd be typing out the spells and casting them. And if you make a mistake in this language that obviously you're learning, then your spell would fail to fire. And a lot of the skill would come from your ability to actually master these phrases and these words and sentences. And then if you have a look on the left here, we've got some more UI designs. And that was pretty much it for the UI mock-ups and designs. And I wanted to speak a little bit about what we're deciding to do with the game engine, because we looked into several different engines. I'm an Unreal programmer. That's what I primarily know. I also know Unity. I've learned Godot over the last few months, and I've also started in the last, I guess, month and a half to kind of learn Flax. And in the end, we kind of decided to go with Flax. And the reason being is because when you use Unreal Engine, it's a beautiful engine. You can do amazing things in it, but it's really slow to develop. And we want to basically be able to quickly iterate through versions of this game and change things, because like a large part of this game is going to be learning a language, and we need to be able to change things rapidly, and Unreal is really slow to develop in. We had a look at obviously Unity, but our artist is primarily an Unreal artist, so he knows how to use the Unreal interface and material nodes and everything, so it's not really worth it for us. Godot doesn't have the 3D capabilities yet, maybe in the future with Godot 4 when it comes out, but even then it will be buggy, obviously. And there was a new engine that came out, Flax, which kind of combined the idea of the Unity backend with the Unreal frontend. So it gives our artist the benefit, but also gives me, the programmer, the rapid development time of Unity. So we kind of decided to go with Flax. Now, obviously, there's some issues with Flax here. One of the issues is it's a brand new engine on the market. There's bugs, there's features that are missing, but I believe we can work around these and we can get past them, but the benefits outweigh the disadvantages, I guess. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to jump over some example. Well, first we'll start with a prototype, like what I've prototyped so far in Flax. Okay, so here you can see basically we just made a very basic isometric prototype. We've got an enemy, he engages with you. When you go and hide behind a wall, he goes looks for you. Basically, as I stated earlier, this game will have like an aggro range and then an engagement range. If you go in the aggro range, he'll chase you. You go in the engagement range, you have to fight. You have no option in the matter. Now, our artist this week has primarily been learning how to deal with the particle system in Flax because it is its own thing. It doesn't really mimic any other systems. And here, you'll probably just noticed right then, coming out of the particle system was the word fairo, which means fire in Esperanto. So we're playing with this artistic idea that particles themselves would actually shoot out little words. So it's just like another way of learning these words because you'll see them constantly coming out of things and you'll begin to physically recognize them. Anyway, that's pretty much it for where we are at the current state of the game. If you've got your own ideas, of course, drop them in the comments below. And yeah, just share this video around, like, sub, and I'll see you all in our next devlog.